minus 10 minutes. Minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. 5 minutes. T-minus for minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
For the love of God, let's have some fun today. It's a Football Friday, everybody, and in a second you're going to see why I'm all fired up. Football Friday, Mike Davis coming up in hour 2 from the Vegas Nighthawks, the number 2 ranked team in the major indoor football league. We had a big hockey game last night. I'm going to tell you last night, it was, I was sitting there last night chowing down on Mad Greek Pizza going, this is the perfect night. And I'll explain why in a second. I got my CFL PA gear on. Hey, you can't have a league without the players, right? And there's no co-host today. Kevin the Medium is still in Japan, and I'm assuming that he's alive. I hadn't heard from him in a while. He hasn't made some. Do they have the internet in Japan? Because I haven't seen any social media posts from Kevin the Medium. Everybody else was busy, and I'm like, you know what? I can handle this on my own. I get to be the Larry King of sports talk again for an hour here on this Friday on Football Friday on YouTube Live, streaming, Game Plus streaming, podcast WQVZ. But what I need from you is audience participation, obviously, so let's get that going. The 902-518-3033 text line. Let's get that rolling. Kirk from Toronto was like the first one in under the buzzer. I love it. I love this, that they're all excited in Toronto that Zellers is back. Kirk writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, never say die, Rod. Zellers is returning to Toronto after a 15-year absence with another Ontario location this summer. How about that? Funniest thing I saw out of that was our good friend Mark Hebscher, the iconic Toronto broadcaster, who said, oh, great, I've got 2 million Club Z points waiting to be used. So, yeah, Zellers is back in Toronto. Everybody's excited. What I tell you, let's have some fun for the love of God. And, well, I'll tell you why I said it was a perfect night last night. Because what do I love the most? I'll be honest, football and hockey. So we've got NHL on one channel, the Stanley Cup Final. We've got the CFL kickoff opening night on the other. I had a group text going with my friends. It was just a great night. And the big story, I will open it here because for me it is the Stanley Cup Final. So for those that celebrate and observe, I do need to get, well, 2 things. I need to get your take on a lot of things, actually. And we'll get to the hockey game in a second, but it is National Donut Day today. Speaking of those that celebrate and observe, it's National Donut Day across Canada. And I want to know from you, the Rod Squad, what is your favorite donut? I'm going to tell you right now, mine is the Honey Cruller. We call it the tractor tire donut for years and years and years. When I was a little kid, it was Robin's Donuts. It was just a plain with the nuts on it, somewhat glazed. And then it was the Boston cream. Now it's the Honey Cruller, and I want to say it has been for a couple of decades. And it's like, how do you make the distinction of what's your favorite donut? And trust me, I'm a bit of a donut aficionado. Somebody comes in with a box of assorted and they pop the top on that thing. What's the number one you're going to? For me, it's the Honey Cruller, the tractor tire donut. And for years and years and years, in those media rooms and all the hockey arenas, nobody ever touched, because that's what hockey people live on, coffee and donuts, and from time to time pizza. Nobody ever touched the Crullers. They saved it for me. So for me, it's the Honey Cruller. What is it for you? And then back to hockey. Seth Jarvis scored on a power play in overtime after Carolina erased a deficit in regulation, only to give up a late tying goal. And then the Hurricanes beat the Vegas Golden Knights 4-3 in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final Thursday night to tie the series 1-1 going back to Sin City. Jarvis's heroics, 3:56 into overtime, came after a thrilling third period that included 4 goals being scored and another getting called off because of goaltender interference. And that's why I said I want your take on what's your favorite donut, and if it's changed, what was it before, what is it now, and then 2, the hockey game last night. We got so much to get to. I'm hoping you're all in as good a mood as me as we roll into the weekend, because I'm in a great mood. Don't ruin that, please. Better mood than John Tortorella. I mean, I'm watching the game, and I'm going to say I was 50-50 on the goal, and I don't necessarily believe the goal being called back for goaltender interference cost them the game, because it ended up going to overtime. By overtime, the goal being called off is ancient history. I know what you're all saying, but I can see where the argument was made for those that thought it was a bad call, like Kevin Bieksa in the intermission between the third period and overtime. It's like, I don't like it. So I totally get it. And part of the problem for me, too, is I watch these games with the sound down, as you know, so I didn't really hear when the whistle went. The whole distinction in here is, when did the whistle go? And it sucks. And you kind of knew that it was coming, that in the Stanley Cup final, you don't want in a championship game, whether it's like a football conference championship game or even in any of a best-of-7 series, a disputed call like that to have such an impact like this did. So what I will say is, because I'm cheering for Vegas, I picked them to win. I'm also a goalie guy, so, I mean, I don't like guys pitchforking at you. I don't like that, and that's what Pavel Dorofeyev did. Let's be honest, he did. It all comes down to when the whistle went, and I didn't really hear that very clearly. So did I really think it was goalie interference? Not really, but I can also go along with that they called that it was. And then, 2, I don't necessarily feel that it cost Vegas the game. And I mean, I got mild stake in it in terms of, we air on Las Vegas television every day, which, by the way, I'll stop this for a second. I'm opening with hockey because it's the big story. It's Canada. It's hour 1, and we're going to spend far more time on football coming up after the break. But I also like the little stories. And every morning here, this is where the baseball team comes, the players to work out, the team for which I broadcast the games. And there's a guy by the name of Weston Walls, 6'5" right-hander, set a record for strikeouts last year for the Moose Jaw Millers, challenged the league record in all of the Western Canadian Baseball League. His family, well, number one, he's like, how's the talk show going, Weston? Or he goes to me, how's the talk show going? I said, good. He goes, I go home and a lot of times I'll put that on. And I said, oh, when you're trying to fall asleep? It's a joke, right? He's like, I thought it was a morning show. Have a good day, Weston. I love him. It's just the kids. They don't get the humor. But his family runs a pecan farm and a Christmas tree farm in Terrell, Texas. You can't even make this stuff up. And I love him. 6'5", number 17, best pitcher on the staff. Everybody knows Weston Walls. He's like, I thought you were a morning show. Yeah, not everybody gets my sense of humor. By the way, the warm-up's brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group. Join CFL legend Adam Big Hill and Rough Riders linebacker Jameer Thurman on a 7-day cruise departing from Fort Lauderdale February 20th. A once-in-a-lifetime experience for CFL fans. Prices from $18.99, cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Travel. That's Neil, Neal, at uniglobecarefree.ca. The RP Show continues right after this on a Football Friday, and we'll go head first into all the CFL, NFL, and indoor talk right after this. Stay tuned to the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time?
Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
All right, welcome back, everybody, as we celebrate the CFL PA and the Canadian, where's it? It's, Canadian Football League. Y'all, you're answering the bell. You're making me so happy. It's exactly what I asked you to do, and you have answered the bell. Thank you. 902-518-33, the text line for Western Dodge. We're here at Golden Ticket Sports Center. We're rocking and rolling into what's going to be a tremendous weekend. And I could sit here and just read your comments all day because they're so entertaining. That's what I'm saying. You're answering the bell. So for those that just tuned in, off the top of the show, we opened with a big story. The Stanley Cup. Vancouver Eric writes that he says, not a fan of this series, but what a game. Right, and game one was better, they tell me, but it's been fantastic. Yes. I said, it's National Donut Day. What's your favorite donut? Mine is the Honey Cruller. Monty in Saskatoon writes in. He says his is the Boston Cream. John Ohm says apple fritter. And Robert from Las Vegas says, is an apple fritter really a donut, though? I don't think it is. And regarding football, Utah, Darren, so it's where I can be. It's just me for all of hour one, okay? Kevin, the medium's in Japan. We're doing this again, and I can be the Larry King of sports talk, where I can go, Darren in Salt Lake City, hello. He writes that he says, watched the Hamilton-Montreal game last night, and I love the CFL overtime rules. A hybrid of NCAA and UFL rules. Best of both worlds. So, yes, again, we were watching the game, and just one more. Rob from Las Vegas says, what a great night of sports. These things hit me. I was sitting there last night, same thing, just going, what a great night. Have the NHL on one channel, CFL on another, and Mad Greek Pizza in my hand. A.J. Miller writes in and says, sour cream glazed. I feel like there's no wrong answer here other than fritters aren't donuts. We've got to the bottom of that. But I had enough of the sound on to realize that when it was going to overtime, somebody said on the broadcast, oh, we get to see the new CFL overtime rules. And I'm like, probably not. Unless it's still tied after the two mini games, then it goes to the shootout. It's basically a shootout of 2-point convert attempts. I'm like, it's going to take a lot to get to the new CFL overtime rules. So I have a lot to get to here. And by the way, let me read the actual script of what the Newswire is saying about the game last night. Defensive back Robert Kennedy III figured pretty prominently in the Montreal Alouettes 30-27 overtime victory over the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Kennedy registered a key pick six in the third quarter that cut Montreal's deficit to 24-17, and then in overtime, he forced Carrick Wheatfall to fumble near the sideline on Hamilton's opening possession, allowing teammate Kevion Ento to push the ball out of the end zone and end the threat. Jose Maltos Diaz capped Montreal's first overtime possession with a game-winning 17-yard boot to kick off the CFL regular season. Maltos Diaz forced overtime with a 29-yard field goal on the final play of regulation. So what a doozy. I was texting back and forth. I mean, listen, the pick 'em and everything, everybody, most people had Hamilton. I had Montreal. We're going to a overtime. It's literally a coin flip. It was like the perfect start to the CFL season. And by the way, I'm going back and forth. It worked out perfectly. You know, what did Captain Lou say yesterday? He's like, well, with streaming now, you can't channel surf. And I'm like, well, lucky for me, I'm a cable TV guy and probably always will be. Cable guy. I'm just a cable TV guy. So it was good to go back and forth. So every time I went back to the football game, is my point, Davis Alexander is just playing chuck and duck, man. And I will tell you, when Mike Davis comes on next hour, who is a defensive guy, I want to find out if people believe Davis Alexander is going to be able to do this forever, these huge chunk plays. Because I feel like if you take the chunk play away from Davis Alexander, what have they got? And then the catch of the year, Tyson Philpott in the fourth quarter. I'm watching it going, are you kidding me? Hang on. I didn't put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I should have, and I'm doing that right now. But who is this texting me? It's Kenny DeGunst. He's watching in Amarillo, Texas. He says, I can't post on the chat for some reason. Blueberry cake donut, but it must be warm. And please call our buddy Dusty Britches sometime. Okay. That's the guy that I thought his name was Slim Shotgun, the co-host of Kenny DeGunst's show, but it's Dusty Britches. What's the difference between Slim Shotgun and Dusty Britches, really? Anyways, Kenny's watch. We got a very wide footprint on this show. So anyways, I immediately went to Twitter and said, we already have the catch of the year. It doesn't get better than that. And as they were replaying it over and over and over, Luke Wilson said, it doesn't get better than that catch. Ladies and gentlemen, was that not top 5 we've ever seen? And what are we thinking? We're thinking OBJ, this one, the SJ Green, back of the end zone, Canada Day 2010. It's a small group of catches, what we saw with Tyson Phillips. But I've also, I've seen guys make catches around guys' backs like that. But it was one of those, how did he do that? He had the defender right on him. He caught it on the guy's back, rolled over, and came up, and the ball was on him. And it was very clear it hadn't touched the ground. And that last night was a great example as to why the CFL kicks the UFL's ass. I know that people say football's football, and I agree, but you don't see plays like that in the UFL. Shoot, you don't see a lot of NFL plays like that. It was a pretty tight, well-played game last night, I thought, and was very, very happy that Montreal came out on top, but it was literally like a pick-em, as I said. Back to the crowd here from Little Bit Faster. He says, is a bear claw really a donut? I don't feel like it is. And it's National Donut Day. That's why we're even discussing this today. I try to make things easy. I try to make things easy on myself. It's the honey cruller. Hey, Rod, open the box. Cruller. Thank you. Everybody knows that's the one that I want. Problem is, a lot of guys feel the same way. Sometimes there's a fight over it. David, number 1 in Winnipeg, writes in and says, good morning, Rod. Happy Football Friday. Go Bombers. He says, mine's a tie between sour cream glazed and Boston cream. You can have them. But mine at one time was the Boston cream. I get it. John says, would you like to see Weston Walls, number 17, in a Blue Jays uniform, Rod? I haven't really thought about it. From Incarnate Word. On the overtime, from the YouTube account, Little Bit Faster writes, and he says, I think they should just go straight to the XFL-style shootout, skip the mini games. I also would like them to adopt the double forward pass, 3 conversion options, and 4-point field goal from the UFLX. Well, that's you. I think we're good. I think we've changed it enough. What do you think? It's kind of funny, the 35-second play clock, nobody even noticed a difference at all, which I didn't think it would be that big of a change. The mini games are fine. The only reason they brought in the shootout, which is I've never heard anybody call it the shootout until here today, and everybody's calling it a shootout, but it was to end ties because they don't want any ties. And it's pretty rare that those games go that far. So I think it's fine where it is. Rob from Las Vegas writes in and says, it was a blind catch by Philpott. Ridiculous. Carlos in Indiana says, I don't think he knows how he did it. He just did. That's usually the thing. It's funny because I was golfing with Mike Davis. I'm a terrible golfer. I don't like golf. You know how I feel about it. And Mike Davis, who's coming up next hour, I was golfing with him. And he's like, keep your head down, put your shoulder up, put your legs apart, and don't think. What? Just walk up there and hit it. But I'm supposed to keep my head down and my shoulder up and my this. Oh, God, I hate it so much. Ken from Mississauga writes in and says, thank you for sharing your stories on the CKRM Icon video on their YouTube channel. I watched it after the show yesterday. It is great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a great week with the CKRM Icon thing. I've been spending a lot of time thinking about it because I will be honest with you. How this show is different than all the rest, you've all figured that out. That's why you're here. When I left that job 7+ years ago, and the way that I left, I spent a long time going, why did I work so hard? Why did I put everything into this if this is the way that it's going to end? And then 7 years later, when you get recognized like that, because they're calling it like the CKRM Hall of Fame. So when they called this winner, I didn't think that call was ever going to come. So I was at peace with it. I was fine. So it's a really nice, things mean a lot more when you let them go and then you get them. 902-518-3033. Colin, North Dakota actually has won the chat already. Tell him what he's won, Bob. He says, I like all sorts of donuts. Don't we all? But it's National Donut Day. So we're asking, what's your favorite donut? So you gotta pick one. It's sort of like, I like all women. Can you pick one? It's kind of what we're doing here today, Cole. I get that. You're not going to eat all the donuts. So if you're going in, if somebody's got a gun to your head, you're going to die tomorrow. You're going to the electric chair. What's the last donut that you're ordering the night before you go to the electric chair? Does that narrow it down? 902-518-3033, talking about the CFL game last night. It was amazing. Oh, as Davis Alexander is just throwing seeds, as Luke Wilson said, or playing chuck and duck. I mean, there was nowhere on the field was safe from Davis Alexander last night. I'm sitting there going, I'm sorry, but I feel like he's the best quarterback in the CFL, and a lot of the coaches will tell you that, and that's our poll question today for Country Thunder. Let me look up the result. Where the hell's Jason from Red Deer to update us on what the poll results are? I did put it on our Instagram page at the Rod Pedersen Show. Who's the better quarterback, Davis Alexander or Nate? 100%. So far, voting for Nathan Rourke. Still, okay. Okay. What do I know? There you go. For Country Thunder, the biggest party of the summer is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson, Creed, and the RP Show. Get your tickets now at countrythunder.com/SK. Who's the better quarterback? Nathan Rourke or Davis Alexander? Wouldn't it be something if they met in the Grey Cup? Which, by the way, lots of comments coming in, and they're great. I'll get to you, Arlen Bruce, probably right after the break, but everybody is going off about the John Murphy interview yesterday, and I just want to clue you in on something. And it was great. We're going to bring Murph back a lot, I hope. Did you notice that he didn't say anything? Hey, Murph, who do you pick for the Grey Cup? 3 minutes later, we still don't know. Hey, Murph, who's going to finish first in the East? Well, never said it. Never said it. As Chris Jones says, press play. We'll be back. Football Friday continues in a moment here on the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Across America, Country Thunder music festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Okay, you think we were having fun for the last 30 minutes, but it's going to get way more fun. The comments are lit. Kenny DeGunst is watching down there in Amarillo, Texas. He says his co-host Dusty Britches died laughing from what I said about Slim Shock. Everybody's just having a great time, and I'll tell you, I don't know if there's been a few weeks where I've been ready for the weekend, but it's good. It's going to be a great weekend, but it's been a great week too. Arlen Bruce writes in, my dear friend, NFL, CFL alum, he says, great day, RP. Congrats on all your accomplishments. Plenty more to come, family. My son, Arlen Bruce IV, number 10, Arizona Rattlers, is the second leading receiver in the IFL. And he says, I prefer maple dip. I feel like they're all pretty damn good, right? John says double chocolate is yummy. Ooh. John Ohm says, Rod, do you remember Joey Walters' one-hand catch for the Saskatchewan Roughriders? I do, and I've seen a photo of it. Yeah, let me just stop. It's National Donut Day. We're asking everybody, what's your favorite donut? I feel like already 30 minutes on the air, we have named every donut under the sun already. And we're still going, and mine's the Honey Cruller. But there was a donut. It was a company in Regina. I don't think producer Corey, you were in Regina yet. Do you remember the company Hobo Donuts? The founder, it was unflippin' believable. Imagine a donut that was basically like angel food cake. It was like a cake made into a donut. It was huge. The owner's name was Jimmy Schimmel. He came on this show, and I'll never forget, I called it slip of the tongue. I said homo donuts, and he gave me I'm like, hobo donuts. They're not in business anymore. Because he got so they opened a store downtown. They were just crushing it. And then it got too big. And Jimmy was either, I got to hire all this staff and go real big or shut it down. And he shut it down. Hobo Donuts was the greatest donut I'd ever had. Imagine angel food cake just lathered up with icing and sprinkles on it. And wow, how does that thing not survive? By the way, Arlen Bruce, I was saying, who's the better quarterback, Nathan Rourke or Davis Alexander? Dagnabbit, where is Jason from Red Deer today? Because he had the stats. He's like, here's the stats. How is Davis Alexander not regarded as the best quarterback in the CFL? And I said, well, there's the narrative that it's WestJet Nathan Rourke. And you know what? Because we're such good friends with the BC Lions and he's such a great kid, he's been on this show multiple times. Let's just go with it. Let it be, as my temporary tattoos fading. Let it be. Arlen Bruce says, my top 5 CFL quarterbacks. Number 1, Nathan Rourke. Number 2, Bo Levi. Number 3, Trevor Harris. Number 4, Vernon Adams. Number 5, Cody Fitzgerald. Did you watch the game last night? Cole from North Dakota says, okay, I'll pick one. Chocolate glaze. He says he likes all donuts. I'm like, yeah, you like all women, but you got to pick one. Oh, I said from the crowd that we had great comments from the viewers. 902-518-3033. We do. Bob's checking in. Good morning, Rod. Bob from Medhat again. Watching you from the Medhat Hospital. Just getting an IV treatment. 2 hours long. Everything is good. Have a great day. I'm glad it's good, Bob. And thanks for taking us with you to the hospital. Keeping you company there. David, number 2 in Winnipeg. Hi, Rod. It's Football Friday. I love the donuts from O Donuts in Winnipeg. Never been. I'll have to try them. I would not be against you sending me some. Wilfen Steinbach, Manitoba writes, hi, Rod. Favorite donut, the Krispy Kreme Original. Number 2, hot mini donuts. Somebody mentioned in here earlier about how you got to love a good jam-filled donut. My mom used to make them with her grandma Lizzie. I would just eat them. I never really paid attention. I was little. I didn't really paying attention how they made them. God, they were good. Kirk in Toronto writes in and says, great game in the Hammer, but disappointing crowd. Oh, and my go-to donut is the raised chocolate from Country Style Donuts. I wrote it down, 18,577 at Tim Hortons Field, or what are they calling it now? Hamilton Stadium. John Hodge of 3 Down Nation reporting that it was 18,577. That's where I saw it. Lowest home opener crowd in the history of that stadium. I'm just passing it along. It is what it is. It was going around in our group text last night about the bad crowd. I'm like, whatever. It's a great game. I'm not going to participate. There's the stat debate amongst yourselves. I'd rather talk about donuts. Darren in Melfort writes in where they do the Melfort Shuffle. He says the Melfort Golden Grain Bismarck donut. I feel like I need to do like a diners, drive-ins, and donuts episode. Drive around the prairies sampling donuts for the RP show. I've done dumber things. Darcy in Grand Prairie, Alberta writes in regarding Weston Walls, the big stud pitcher for the Moose Jaw Millers, who was in here earlier and said that he loves watching this show every morning. Darcy, he's from Terrell, Texas, where his family runs a pecan farm and Christmas tree farm. Darcy says, wasn't there a hockey player named Wes Walls back in the day? There was. He played 607 National Hockey League games, primarily with the Minnesota Wild. He's from Calgary, Alberta. Ernie writes in. Ernie says, I have to go with the apple fritter. I think that we are going to, as my dad would say, have a ruling. And the ruling is that we will allow any non-traditional donuts on this show today. We've got to have a ruling. Just because it's not a traditional donut, we'll allow it. I feel like it would be a great poll question. My poll question sucks. My poll question was, who's the better quarterback, Nathan Rourke or Davis Alexander? And the gentleman wrote in here earlier, said it was like Bill from Whitby. He says 83% on YouTube. For who? For Nathan Rourke, I assume? Are you literally saying it's not that close? Hey, Michelle, we finally got a woman. Can we tell her what she's won? Michelle says, Honey Cruller is my go-to donut. That's mine as well. We'd get along, Michelle. I like the way you think. Michelle Vanos, welcome to the RP show. Where have you been? We need way more women commenting. I feel like the men scare them away. Vancouver Eric writes, and he says, from Terrell, Texas to Moose Jaw. Wow, that's commitment. He's back for his 3rd season, Weston Walls, and I love him. I always say that each one's my favorite. They're all my favorite, but his dad said to me last year, came up from Terrell, Texas, and he goes, I love the fact that you're here watching over my boy, and that if he's got a problem, he can go to you. I said, he absolutely can. Weston doesn't have problems, though. Fireballer. Can you imagine? Look it up, by the way. Walls Pecans, Walls, like Gavin Walls, the former Winnipeg Blue Bomber D-line. Walls Pecans. And a Christmas tree farm in Terrell, Texas. The stories are unbelievable. Everybody's like, welcome, Michelle. If there's any other women, would you please write in and don't be scared off? To be honest, I kind of knew that the donut topic would be a popular one. I didn't think it would be this donut. This popular. Sorry, David, number 2 from Winnipeg, says the Oob donut from that place in Winnipeg. It's Filipino sweet potato. Come again. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, that blew me away last night. 2 overtime games, 1 in football, 1 in hockey. Right? Hey, we're all wrapped up in the donut talk here, but I know we're going to break right away, but what did you all think of the goal called back that Tortorella challenged and said he would challenge it 10 out of 10 times? Because I'm 50-50 on it. I'm not that upset it got called back. But that's just me. Bob from the Medicine Hat Hospital writes in. He says, mine is the favorite Boston Cream from Bob from you know where. Yes, the Medicine Hat Hospital. How we doing, Producer Corey? I feel like we're going to be breaking right away. 30. Okay, I got you. 902-518-3033. Rob from Windforest writes in. He says, Boston cream for me. Producer Corey says the worst donuts in the world are Susie Q's in Ottawa. He says it's a cult. We don't want to denigrate anybody's donuts here today. And that sounds dirty. What are you doing? Just powdering my donuts? We'll be right back.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back. It's quite a day. It's a football Friday, and it's flying by. We've actually talked some football. Hell of a football game last night. Just the greatest start the CFL could have had, really, for a season kickoff game. Overtime in Hamilton, 30-27. The Montreal Alouettes beating Hamilton. I'm 1-0 on my picks. Let me just back this off a little bit. We'll get to tonight's game, Calgary, home to Winnipeg in a second. But I was texting back and forth with DeBuck, and Matt DeBuck, the football coach in Fort Lauderdale, the most famous high school football coach in Florida. I'm shocked he's not here writing in today. And I said I was going back and forth with him on the hockey game, and he goes, "Hockey season's over." No, it's not. Vegas, Carolina are waging a hell of a war in the Stanley Cup final. And then furthermore, I'll get to all your messages here. I don't understand why, but the morning radio crew from 806 Sports, Amarillo, Texas, is tuned in, and Kenny Nagun says his co-host, Dusty Britches, that's his freaking name, Dusty Britches. He goes, Dusty's dying laughing at what you're saying. And I said, well, I hope he didn't actually die. And Kenny says, I tried to call 911, but I forgot the number. I feel like people have had too many donuts today. Noni writes in on the text line. It's National Donut Day, and that's why. 902-518-3033. Noni in Calgary writes in, and she says, hi, Rod, happy Friday. That was a great way to start the CFL season last night. And my favorite donut would be a chocolate glazed or Boston cream. Have a great day and weekend. You too, Noni, enjoy the sports. Get out and watch some CFL action if you can. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and says, what happened to Hobo Donuts? It makes no sense, but they went out of business. They got too big, and Jimmy, the owner, had to make a decision to go real big or shut her down, and he shut her down. It's too bad. Sad story, that. Oh, Rob from Las Vegas writes in and says, we are on the road to Calgary to watch the game tonight. Go Bombers. I got Calgary to win tonight, which is, let's perfect. A lot of people that have tuned in weren't watching earlier. God bless Murph, John Murphy, who was on here yesterday. But I'm going to remind you all, he didn't say a damn thing. I'll give Moose a lot of credit. On my regular cohort of my gang, Moose could be on CNN, ESPN if he wanted to. Like he said yesterday, he's like, this series isn't ending in a sweep. Carolina's not done. He's not afraid. But the thing with Moose is he likes to be behind the camera, in front of the camera, doing the business, doing that, doing all these things. He doesn't know what he wants to do. I'm going to give you just, if you settle down and made hot, bold takes, but he likes to do all the other things, who am I to tell him no? But, Murph was great too, but he just didn't say anything. Murph, who's going to be in the Grey Cup? 3 minutes of bullshit. We never got an answer. But he sounds very convincing. Brian in Winnipeg writes in, he says, not much sports to talk about when we have to talk. Reminds me a few years back when the hockey player told referee Don Koharski to have another donut. So this donut talk is sports related. That was the coach, Jim Schoenfeld, 1980s Stanley Cup Playoffs, which was a moment that I've talked to Jim Schoenfeld about that. He regrets. I've talked about the sports banquet I did in Zenham Park, Saskatchewan. First time I met Chris Nyland. There's certain things to be said. Let me tie it all together. Is there anybody in your life that you meet and you just right away you're close with? There's a lot of people like that with me. And there's a lot of people that right away I'm not close with. We don't like each other immediately. Just the way it is. I think we're all the same. And so Knuckles Nyland, I met him at that dinner in Zenham Park. Immediately we were best friends. And now we talk all the time. Chris Knuckles Nyland. But you know who else was speaking that night? Don Koharski. Never talked to him again. Not that I didn't get along with him, but he's a referee. And he just stood up there and went on and on and on and on, putting people to sleep. Knuckles was like, give me the mic. So I handed the mic. Mike goes, Knuckles like, this is just like the hockey games, Koharski. Nobody came to see you. It's about me and Knuckles. Get along. Utah Darren writes in, he says, sounds like Murph should be in politics, LOL. Oh, I get a bang out of it. And one day, we could do, Scruffy always jokes about it, we could do 5, 6, 7-part series on my time with the Riders and all the crazy stuff that went on. Under Chris Jones, he had Jeremy O'Day as an assistant GM. He had John Murphy as an assistant GM. There was a bunch of, and they were all, frankly, fighting over airtime. So Jones and I went for supper one night to the Keg on South Albert, and Jones is like, all right, When does your show air? Every day, Chris. You're on every day? Yes, every day. Well, okay. Well, let's rotate Murph and J.O. and Mike Davis, and you'll always have a guy. And then that ended. It lasted like a week. But that's why I like Jones. I mean, he tried. And Jones is like, as long as I don't have to do the interviews. He hated it. Scruffy says when they have the roast, the RP roast, the notes will be like a New York City phone book. Boom. Chapter 3, 1, 2, and 3, the PA years. Bob Hallister writes in and says, Bob McAllister writes, he says, Hobo Donuts probably couldn't find bakers. Hard profession to fill because of hours. Dawn is the baker's hour. And he says, honey glaze is the best. You talking honey cruller? My favorite? Who's going to win tonight, guys? Calgary or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? I'll tell you again, I got Calgary. Second highest region for viewership of this show, as you all know, is Winnipeg. I picked the Bombers for last place on Facebook yesterday. I put my division standings on there, and my life wasn't threatened by Bomber fans. It actually shocks me a little bit. But I also explained why on this show the other day. If you look at their record, it's been going dink, 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 dink. And they've made the changes to try year by year by year. The wins are going down. They're getting old. I think this is the year. Somebody's got to finish last. And the one thing about Winnipeg football fans is they're respectful, have always been, just like our fans in Saskatchewan. They're respectful of the game, respectful of your opinion. They may not agree, but they've never really thrown crap. Jeff the Stamps fan says the Stamps take it. No issues. But you're biased. There is one other thing that I'm actually shocked that there's a few other things actually on this Football Friday that nobody's brought up yet. Speedy B being announced as going into the Hall of Fame last night, which was pretty cool the way they did it right in the middle of the field. They surprised him. That was cool. And then this Quebec expansion thing, I'm shocked. Nobody's brought it up, but I guess you're observing my no-fly zone rule on CFL expansion talk. Because it is just talk as far as I'm concerned. I see Naylor wrote a column about it at tsn.ca today. Talk's cheap. Talk is cheap. That's what I have to say about that. Point 3, Chad Dallas was told on Tuesday he'd be promoted for his Major League debut with the Blue Jays. The call came on Lou Gehrig Day, and it happened to be about a year since Dallas's father, Tony, died from ALS. The disease known commonly as Lou Gehrig's disease, named after the Yankees great. Quote from Dallas, Chad Dallas last night, it was extremely special, like a little God wink. He said after allowing only 2 hits and 1 run in a 3 2/3 inning appearance to earn the win in the Blue Jays 7-2 victory over the Atlanta Braves last night. I call them God shots. He says God wink. 2 hits, got the win on the day his dad died from ALS. Wow. That was last night. Blue Jays home tonight to the Orioles. Oh, I'll get into this more next hour. NBA Finals tonight. Game 2. I'm going to read way more of this next hour. I'm not going to waste your time on it because I want to get this CFL stuff put to bed here in hour 1. And there will be more, by the way. Mike Davis is going to be joining us next hour. I love Mike. He's like, I can talk about the CFL for days. We'll be talking NFL, CFL, Indoor League with Mike Davis coming up next hour. And here's one for you. Looks like we're going to be doing a World Cup of Soccer live stream. Corey, are you a soccer fan? I don't know if you ever told me. As a player, yes. As a fan, no. Right. As a viewer, no. Well, you might want to tune into the live stream. One of our former betting partners has stepped up to the table, and we're going to be doing a World Cup live stream. Yeah, it does sound fun. Maybe we'll have it produced by Skycron. We'll see. Hang on. Utah Darren writes in. He says, so just a few questions from last night. What is the timing rule at the end of the game? Tying field goal was made after the clock ran out. And with the motion, how far downfield can you be at the snap? Somebody want to help? Well, Mike can help us out with that. It's like any football game. the last play, as long as there's time on the clock, when they snap the ball, they start the clock. If the clock runs out, the play still happens. And that's what happened with the but hey, believe you me, I am no CFL rules expert. That is, I didn't bring that up in my CKRM interview, but it's like once a month something would happen in a game that I had no idea what was going on. And that's why I can't stand the fact that CFL changes so many rules every year. Because I'm like, I'm not a coach. And because I was friends with all the referees, they said the coaches Trestman didn't even know all the rules. So Google, and look, I love Mark, but the refs were telling me, they're like, Coach, you can challenge that. They don't even know. Vancouver Eric says, Stamps versus Lions Grey Cup, please. I'm thinking Montreal, BC would be lit. Hour 2 coming up right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
It's a little thing that we call Football Friday. We do it every week, but there's going to be some hockey talk here too. We welcome the viewers across Nevada on Silver State Sports and say hello again that those that are listening on the radio, WQBC, in the U.S. South, Game Plus streaming. Looks like there may be some exciting things going on there with our Canadian television partner. And yeah, we're here on Silver State Sports where hockey is the big thing. I will tell you, though, stay tuned. Coming up on this Football Friday in the next segment, brought to you by Prairie Panels. Our guest segment is with Mike Davis from the Vegas Nighthawks. They're on the road this week, the number 2 ranked team in major indoor football from the Vegas Nighthawks. Mike Davis coming up next. I will preface this. This has turned into way more fun than I thought it would be. I knew it would be fun. I didn't think it would be this much fun. It's National Donut Day, so I'm saying happy National Donut Day for those that observe. And for me, my favorite is the Honey Cruller. Let's get that out of the way right now. The one that looks like the tractor tire. But I've been asking the viewers, what's your favorite donut? And we have had like every single donut named under the sun, every brand, every shape, way, and form. It's kind of making y'all want to go out and have donuts, right? And even before I knew that it was National Donut Day today, I had 5 Tim Hortons Timbits, birthday cake flavored. It's Canada's national coffee chain. You're welcome. Okay, I think that's all out of the way. Tell us what your favorite donut is. There's no wrong answer here. And we've also made a ruling. If it's an apple fritter or a bear claw, they count. Today, they all count. Today, we are all donuts. Point 1 of the Quick Six show topics in this warm-up brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP show, and the BC Lions of the Canadian Football League. Seth Jarvis scored on a power play in overtime after Carolina erased a deficit in regulation, only to give up a late tying goal, and the Hurricanes beat the Vegas Golden Knights 4-3 in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final, tying up the series 1-1. Was it yesterday Moose was? No, Wednesday. No, it had to be yesterday. Whenever Moose was on, Moose Dupont, he goes, this series ain't over. Carolina's coming back. It's going to be a long series. It won't be a sweep. He nailed it. Moose did. He was right. 4-3 was the final. Jarvis's heroics came 3:56 into overtime after a thrilling third period that included 4 goals being scored and another getting called back because of goaltender interference. And for those that are watching in Vegas, I don't need to tell you, you were all watching. As a lifelong learned hockey man, you can see I'm thinking, I don't want to upset anybody here, but I'm going, look, I picked Vegas to win. I want Vegas to win. But I can, in my heart of hearts, say I can go along with that goal being disallowed. I can. And for those, the longtime viewers know, the newcomers don't. I don't usually have the sound up when I'm watching the games at all, which is good and bad. I don't hear the analysis. I don't need to hear the analysis. But you know what I miss? The whistle being blown. And in an issue like that, when was the whistle blown? Was the goalie interfered with? That's why the goal was called back, because of goaltender interference. John Tortorella challenged it. He lost the challenge, ended up getting a 2-minute penalty. They killed that penalty off, but ended up giving up the game winner on the power play in overtime anyway. So all that I'm saying is the best part of being non-biased. Lou Gamelin was on with us yesterday. It was Lou. We were talking about being a fan on the air. It's great to be a fan on the air. Most guys are now, but here's the problem. When you are a fan, I can't believe what you're telling me. If you're a fan of your team and you're trying to analyze the game, you're biased. And I'm not a dyed-in-the-wool Golden Knights fan. I'm not a dyed-in-the-wool fan of anybody. That was 50-50. If they called it a goal, I could see why. They called it back, I can see why. Okay? And I'm watching the Canadian feed last night, and Kevin Bieksa, the former Vancouver Canucks defenseman, and he was with Anaheim too, was he not? Yeah. He goes, I don't like that call. He doesn't care. He's not cheering for either team. That is what's fun about sports. We're not going to agree on everything. The debate is fun. And from a Golden Knights perspective, they played a pretty good game. They played better in game 1. From what I understand, because I was calling baseball that night. They could have been better last night. And I'm guaranteed they're over it. Tortorella told the reporters afterwards, 10 out of 10 times he would have challenged that again. Why not? It really sucks when championship games are decided on a call like that. Or I don't think the game was decided on it. It didn't impact what went on in overtime. Yeah, we move on. Game 3, Saturday night in the Fortress. Still think Vegas is going to go on to win the series. They have to be overly happy with getting a split in Raleigh. And I was saying last night, I'll be perfectly honest with you, because as you know, the show was born in Canada. It's primarily Canadian. It was the greatest night last night because when we talk hockey, it's for the Mad Greek Eatery. From classic to loaded, pizza night starts at the Mad Greek Eatery. Order online, pick up, or dine in at themadgreekeatery.com. I'm sitting there last night. I got the Stanley Cup Playoff game on one channel, flipping it over to the Canadian Football League kickoffs. Game 1 of the season went to overtime last night. I got my Mad Greek pizza that I ordered. I'm like, does it get better? The Western Canadian summers don't get better. And, yeah, it was a good night for sports watching, and thank you, Mad Greek, for feeding us. By the way, the Quick Six show topics and the warm-up brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel, as I said. When it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway, trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. So that's point 1, Stanley Cup playoffs last night, 50-50 on the goal. To be honest, I've been asking the viewers since we went to air, how do you feel about the goal? Because everybody was watching. It's Canada. Everybody's watching. And nobody really felt too strongly about it. There are those that have said, hey, I get it. There's a lot of people that have checked out on the playoffs. I was texting with Matt DeBuck during the football game last night. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. I was flipped over to the hockey game. He's like, hockey's over. His team's out. Well, sorry, but that's not the case for all of us. Let's move on to point 2. As I mentioned, because we're going to be talking CFL. I was in the league for 20 years, 21, whatever. I don't know. I'm wearing the CFL Players Association shirt today because they sent it to me. You can't have a league without the players, and I support those boys. What happened last night was this. Defensive back Robert Kennedy III figured pretty prominently in the Montreal Alouettes' 30-27 overtime victory over the Hamilton Tiger Cats in Hamilton Thursday night. He had a pick 6 in the third quarter and then forced a fumble in overtime. And if you don't CFL rules, they're awesome. They are the best rules in football. As a viewer wrote in earlier, they're a hybrid of college football and UFL. And basically, if you turn over the ball in overtime in the CFL, you're done. Most leagues are that way, but especially the CFL. And I went 1-0 on picks, but it's a flip 'em. That also went to overtime. The hockey game went to overtime. The CFL kickoff game went to overtime. Bob's your uncle. It was a great night. Also, for those that observe, news has come out this week that the Canadian Football League's been in talks for the last year with a group in Quebec to put a team there, Quebec City. Talks cheap as far as I'm concerned. Do we have a pick? Oh, we don't really have a game to pick tonight. I'm not going to pick the NBA. Well, we can pick the football. I did it earlier this week. Week 2 continues tonight. Friday night football tonight. Calgary Stampeders home to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I picked Calgary to win. We'll see. I'm 1-0 already. Not a big deal. Brought to you by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Cathedral, and Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. They sponsor our picks of every league. NHL, NFL, Canadian Football League, you name it. Pump Jacks. Can't wait to get in there, probably this weekend again. Point 3, just because we're the Blue Jays people. What the heck's going on? Chad Dallas was told on Tuesday he would be promoted for his major league debut with the Toronto Blue Jays. The call came on Lou Gehrig Day, and it happened to be about a year since Dallas's father, Tony, died from ALS, the neurodegenerative disease now commonly known as Lou Gehrig's disease, named after the Yankees great. So on that day, he was called up a year after his dad died of Lou Gehrig's disease. Dallas made his debut, allowing only 2 hits, 1 run, in 3 2/3 innings, and the Blue Jays went on to beat the Atlanta Braves 7-2 last night. After the game, Chad Dallas told reporters it was extremely special, like a little God wink. So I call those God shots. It's all the same, and it's all great. Love that story coming out of the Blue Jays win last night, and they are home to the Baltimore Orioles tonight. So point 4 of the Quick Six show topics. Jalen Brunson was wowed upon hearing how high the price had climbed on the secondary market for the cheapest ticket in New York for Game 3 of the NBA Finals between the Knicks and Spurs. What left the Knicks star nearly stumped was determining what he would deem worthy of paying $7,500 US for. Jalen Brunson told reporters Thursday, "That's a good question, what I would spend $7,500 on. A live Michael Jackson performance? I feel like it would cost a heck of a lot more than that." But he's from Bay Ridge to the Bronx and beyond. The Big Apple has gone nuts for the Knicks. The team is not only in the NBA Finals for the first time in 27 years, New York is riding a 12-0 roll after rallying from a 14-point second-half deficit to win Game 1 in San Antonio the other night, 105-95. Game 2 tonight in San Antonio before the series shifts to New York on Monday. You know, I was meaning to ask Murph, and I had this written down. Our football analyst that was on with us yesterday, he's from Long Island. Any New Yorkers that are out there? And Mike Davis, if you're logged in, he's joining us next. You can take a swing at this, even though you're from Virginia. New York's going nuts because the Knicks are on a roll and probably going to win their first NBA title since 1973, but they're not New York's number one team. Is Ryan watching from upstate New York? Can somebody help me out that has a New York flair here? The number one team in New York, and I've spent a lot of time there. Yes. Thank you, Matt DeBuck. Coach DeBuck is logged in and says RP was right about everything. Feel like we don't even need to continue anymore. You've finally admitted it. Anyways, New York sports. Yankees 1, Giants 2, Knicks 3 now, but it would normally be Yankees, Giants, Mets, Knicks, Rangers, Jets, and I think I got them all. But right now, the Knicks are number one, and everybody's making a big deal about the fact that Donald Trump is going to be attending Game 3. Why wouldn't he? I don't understand why it's such big news. Thank you, Carlos, for observing 111. 111 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain for the live viewing audience. 902-518-3033. Ryan from upstate New York must not be tuned in today, and that's fine. Sean is watching in Vernon, BC. Is that where you're at? No, he is in Vancouver, BC. Beautiful town. I'll be out there later this summer. Because I was asking, what's your favorite donut on National Donut? Of course, you got to say the Long John. There's no wrong answers here. The viewers were saying earlier, is an apple fritter really a donut? Is a bear claw really a donut? If it's your favorite, it's your favorite. Who am I to say no? Nice comment from Wayne in Victoria, BC, as I continue to have issues with my laptop. You'd think I'd have it figured out by now. But he says, congratulations, Rod, on your being an icon of CKRM. But I didn't need CKRM to tell me that, Rod. Well done. Thank you, Wayne. Very nice of you. We'll stop talking about it after today's show. We'll stop talking about it. But it's like the radio station that I was at for 24 years. It's funny when you, like, I'm 53 years old, okay? I remember when my dad turned 50 at his birthday, I was like, oh my God, he's ancient. I was like 15 at the time. I'm like, I hope we have him for a couple more years. And he lived to be 81. I'm 53 now, feel 15. And this week got honored by my former radio station that I was at for 24 years, voice of the CFL Saskatchewan Roughriders, naming me an icon. And it feels good. So thank you, Wayne, for acknowledging that. But we won't bring it up again. Oh, Coach DeBuck says the Dandy Donut in Pompano, Maple Dip. That's right on the Federal, right, Coach? We got to go there. I'm trying to not consume donuts at the rate that I used to. But I'll go to Dandy Donuts with you, Coach. That's right on Federal. I know exactly where it is. Oh, 0.5. Here's an interesting thing coming up, and we're going to be breaking soon. Mike Davis joining us next. But I'm oddly getting through these on time. Point 5, soccer fans will soon crisscross continents to see their beloved national teams compete on the sport's grandest stage, the World Cup. They'll pack bars and fan zones, singing chants and debating who's going to win it all. This time, however, it's different for some super fans who say organizers have made this summer's World Cup the least welcoming one they've experienced. Ticket prices, expensive cross-country travel, concerns about entering the U.S. have prompted some of them to stay home. Well, how about this? A former betting partner of ours has reached out to us and said, would Rod consider hosting a live stream for a World Cup game? What do you think we said? Yes. Money talks. So you don't want to go to the World Cup? You want to stay home? It's too expensive? Stay home and join our live stream for Canada versus Qatar. I better figure out who the players are. Mike Davis coming up next for Prairie Panels. Building a shop, barn, rink, or commercial space, Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Check them out at prairiepanels.ca. Ball for all. Get your NFL, CFL, Indoor Football League questions, college, when we come back from Mike Davis of the Nighthawks right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back. As you know, these commercials are just small footnotes. And it's a pause in the discussion. Kirk from Toronto wrote in and said, I forgot the Islanders in the list of New York sports popularity. Actually, no, I didn't forget them. The Islanders they're way down the list. It's sad to say. Coach Mike Davis joins us from the Vegas Nighthawks. Coach, are you at practice? Looks like you're ready to roll. What's going on there in Sin City?
No, we just got done. Actually, just sitting in the truck. Didn't have enough time to get back to the office, so, duty calls.
Well, I appreciate it. I hope you got the air conditioning on so your phone doesn't conk out. I'm watching how hot it is there in the valley. How is that heat? You used to it?
Love it. Hotter the better for me. Right? I would rather be 110 than 45 any day of the week.
Okay, good. Well, listen, it's Football Friday. We're going to get into all these things. But I'm sure you were watching the hockey game last night. I would just love your take on the Golden Knights falling in overtime at Carolina, coming home for Game 3 in the Fortress. What's the city going through? What was your take on this Stanley Cup final?
Carolina's a tough team. They're one of the best teams in the league for a reason, right? When you get up 2-0 and you're late into the third, and you lose in that fashion, it's as a football coach, it's hard to take. Right? Like, obviously, they'll bounce back because that's who they are and they're professionals. But, boy, it sure would have been nice to come home up 2-0.
Yeah, well, on that goal that got called back, I'm 50-50 on it. I've been in that position. I can see why they disallowed it. If they'd allowed it, I could have seen that too. I hate when championship games are decided that close. You had any calls like that in the IFL this year? You must have.
Not this year. We've had them in the past. Right? You just try to keep it out of the refs' hands at the end of the day. You just want it to be played on in their deal, played on the ice, and just let it be a clean, physical game, and the best team wins. But when you get the refs involved, it's always a guessing game.
You get down to a championship, it's the two best teams, as you say. Your team, number 2 ranked, going on the road this week. Tell me about the Nighthawks and what's the latest.
We're 8-1. We're in a good spot, right? We're starting to find our rhythm. We go play a tough Northern Arizona team that's we traded a backup quarterback there earlier in the year, so obviously there's a little bit of there's always going to be want to have some get back there, but we're in a good spot. We're pretty healthy, and the later half of the seasons you want to be playing your best football and getting as healthy as you can before the playoffs.
Is he starting for them?
He is.
Who has the advantage? It's the age-old. Are we going to have to wait till the game to find out who has the advantage? Who has the advantage when he knows your playbook and your personnel and you know him?
It's we traded him for a reason. You're right. He's a great quarterback, got a good arm, but if he was good enough to stay here, he would have stayed here, right? And we would have kept him wrong. For us, it's easy to look good in practice. Right, but when you get live bullets and in practice, you're not getting hit. In real games, you can relate it to the CFL game last night, right? Like a couple of those quarterbacks looked a little shaky at certain points because now that people at your feet and you have live bullets, looking down the barrel of the gun, it makes it a little more difficult.
Okay, you went there, and the questions are coming in for you, including some from DeBuck and Fort Lauderdale. So we'll get to yours, Coach. You said it last. What a hell of it! Did you watch the whole game? Overtime, CFL lid lifter, Montreal in overtime, beating Hamilton 30-27. You watched the whole thing. I thought it was an awesome start to the season. What'd you think of the game?
I think that's the East Finals setting up for a good rematch.
Well, take me through the game. I mean, I had Montreal picked. It goes with the picks are fun. It's a coin flip. It's a coin flip. Oh, by the way, just so you know, Murph was on yesterday. I asked him for predictions and picks. He talked forever, said nothing. It was awesome. The viewers loved it.
Shocker.
That's a shocker, right? Yeah. But you're not afraid to go out and debunk and make the pick. I love Murph. I'm teasing him. But listen, I'm going back and forth between that and the hockey game. Obviously, you were too. And I'm seeing Davis Alexander, this young quarterback. Well, he's not young, I guess. Portland State. He's 11-0 as a starter. He's never lost a regular season game, and he's just chucking and ducking all down the field. I'm like, this guy's. I think he's the best quarterback in the CFL. Everybody tells me I'm nuts. What do you think?
I would say he would have to be one of the top 2 or 3, right? Obviously, being only having now 14-1 as a starter if you count the playoffs and losing in the Grey Cup, but 12-0 in the regular season. There's something to be said about that, right? I think that the one thing I love about Davis Alexander is his moxie. It seems like he doesn't get rattled, right? He takes a shot in the mouth, gets up and rallies. You know, they're down 10-0. He leads them. It's second and 20, and then he throws a dart down the middle, and Snead ends up running in for a touchdown to get it to 10-7. I mean, the kid has no issue stretching the field and making the big throws in the crunch time, and that's what you got to appreciate about a quarterback.
You're a defensive mind. I'm sitting there going, why can they not take these deep shots and chunk plays away from him? Nobody seems to be able to do it. Will they ever?
You know, I think that, they do a good job of scheming them up. I think Moss is a great offensive coordinator when it comes to calling the plays. I think that, Moss on the other side was trying to figure out, do they want to pressure him? Do they want to play man? Do they want to pressure zone him? And early in the year, yes, you have your playbook installed, but, those your first real bullets. So as you get into it, sometimes you have to manufacture pressure, and when you do that, the back end can't hold up, and they got some guys that can go get the football.
That was last night. Montreal in overtime beating Hamilton 30-27. Tonight, Friday Night Football, Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the Calgary Stampeders. Our viewers voted it Canada's Game of the Week. What are you looking for tonight? Obviously, you'll be watching.
Two things. Obviously, let's see how Zach is. What Zach looked like in year one, right? New OC. So let's see what that looks like in Winnipeg. And then is Calgary really back, right? They've had a lot of staff additions. Obviously, my guys Marcus and Jarius are there. And, Dickey is a great coach. And those guys, they seem to be putting in the work, and they seem to be really excited about what they have in the building.
I got Winnipeg picked for last place in the West. Am I on to something, or am I on something? Their record's been slipping every year. I feel this is the year that they're officially old, but maybe I missed something.
I don't know. I mean, again, how does the offense play, and how does Zach play, right? Like, the defense is always going to be solid, right? They for them, it's just, and O'Shea's always going to have a good football team. Do they continue to slip? Who knows? I still think you got to put it on the arm of the quarterbacks and see what happens. And then, Winnipeg's going to run the ball more than anybody in the league. Oliveira's he's going to get his touches, and can they stay balanced? And if they can stay balanced in play action, then Winnipeg's always going to be competing.
Mike Davis with us, head coach and GM of the Vegas Nighthawks Major Indoor Football League. And I'll get to the Bucks question next, other than to say we are having so much fun today on National Donut Day, asking our viewers and guests what's their favorite donut. Mike, it doesn't look like you've had too many lately. You're wasting. Even your hat's too big for you. But if you're ordering a donut, what are you ordering?
I'm a Krispy Kreme glaze guy.
Whoa!
Just give me a hot now.
There's a lot of those votes. A lot of votes, especially right off the conveyor belt, right when it drops down into the bin. Okay. That's from Scott in Toronto. Thank you, Scott, for the question. So DeBuck has a few. Mike, who do you think the best general manager in the Canadian Football League is?
Are we just talking about personnel, or are we talking about overall operations in general? I guess that's the real question.
I'm just reading you what he said.
If we're going with the best GM, you can't hate on what Jeremy O'Day and them have done, him and Kyle Carson and Sask. Like, obviously, to win a Grey Cup and not even rebuild that team, but keep that team intact, it'll be interesting to see how they play. Obviously, with Trevor getting a little longer in the tooth. But if I was going to go second, I'm going to give it a close second to Ryan Rigmaid and them in BC.
Well, as you know, because you've been on this show since they've been awarding it, they finally have an award for the GM of the year in the Canadian Football League, and Saskatchewan won it last year. I feel like it'll always be the team that wins the championship, but I don't really have a problem. I don't have a problem with that. The coach of the year is usually the team That does. DeBuck says overall, but I think you covered that. Yeah. And then he goes on to say, how much input does the head coach have on the roster? Let's use that in all of football.
Yeah, I think you have to have a great working relationship with your GM, right? Like I joke with people, you want me to, from a GM and a head coach, right? As the GM, you're buying the groceries. The head coach is cooking the dinner. Well, if the GM wants pasta and the head coach is trying to cook steak, normally that doesn't work out. So you got to be on the same page with what ingredients that you want as far as player goes, and which players are going to be good for your system, right? And are you a coach that can, no matter what the players, you can scheme, make your system fit the players? That's the huge debate going on right now, right, between a lot of coaches. Are you a guy who needs certain players to fit a certain scheme, or can you make your scheme fit any player?
What's the answer? Who's the best coach?
I think when you have a great working relationship with the GM and the head coach, it doesn't matter because it all works out, right? You get a little bit of both, right? You go and find the best players, and you figure out what works for them and what works for you.
Well, I think it's important that the people know that you have the dream scenario there in Vegas. I mean, you and I have been friends a long time. I remember when Vegas called you, there was never you were going to be the coach and the GM. That was the job. I don't even know if you'd taken it if they've split it up, but how many other combos are there like that in your league? Because it's rare in pro football.
4 out of 16.
Okay. Yeah, it didn't take you long to name that. By the way, I was checking up on the website today. So your league is expanding? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, they just announced a team in Austin, Texas, a team in Athens, Georgia, and they have 2 more that they're trying to finalize for 2027. Obviously, our deal with Yahoo Sports has been fantastic, and it's only going to get better.
Well, congratulations on that. Major Indoor Football League, by the way. Vancouver Eric writes in, I can only assume this is a CFL question, but he says, how long can the offensive coordinator talk to the quarterback pre-snap? I know it's changed over the years. What is it now that you know of in the leagues?
I believe the headset goes off at 25, 10 seconds before the play clock runs out. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what it is.
What is it in your league?
You can talk. I mean, because we're on the field, like we have a headset that we have ability to, so we can talk to our player anytime throughout the play. But that's distracting. Like you call the play, you prep for a reason. Here you go. I don't need somebody.
All right, there you go. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how any of them do it. I look at these referees, by the way, in the Canadian Football League, and they got 6, 7. I've talked to these guys. They hate it. If you ever seeing the ref announce a penalty and it looks like he got stung by a bee, he's like, somebody's talking to him. He's trying to announce the penalty. I don't get it. But I don't think we're going back, Mike. We're not getting rid of video replay. We're not getting rid of mics. We are where we are, eh?
For sure. I mean, realistically, you look at the as bad as I hate to say it, you look at the second play of the game. Hamilton throws a chunk play to Kenny Lawler.
Yep.
Kenny Lawler, and they missed the DPI, and then Scott and them have to challenge a obvious defensive pass interference on the second play of the game. That's a terrible look. But thank goodness you have replay and you can challenge that stuff. But that's just those are the easy ones you can't miss, especially the second play of the game.
Well, now we're getting into the nuts and bolts of this. I saw a stat. You probably don't have time to read the CFL game notes, but it's like the highlight of my life is reading them. The penalties per game last year in the CFL were the lowest since 1974. And that's something to be proud of, unless you're missing calls. But because I was going to say, was it better before replay or better now? There's fewer penalties than ever. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think you're missing the root of the issue. Like the issue is they want to shorten the games. They want the game to be sped up. They don't want viewers there for 3 hours, right? So, okay, now but they don't realize you're still getting the same challenges. Now you miss a play. Okay, you miss a holding call. Okay, I can't challenge all this stuff. You only get a couple challenges per team. So, if it's not egregious or at the point of attack, don't call it.
So that's the direct. Well, it makes sense to me. I don't know what they want. What I do know is with this 35-second play clock, which has been brought in seamlessly, which I didn't think there would be a problem doing that anyways. But the first preseason game, Calgary-Sask, was 2.5 hours long. I'm like, the games are shorter. So you just think it's a directive to just not call as many penalties, period.
I just think if it's not egregious and it doesn't directly affect the play, don't call it. And, if it's questionable, people aren't calling it in any league. You look at our league, the CFL, the NFL, like it just doesn't happen, right? And because the attention span of the viewership is shrinking, and they want that 2.5 hour, 215, 220 hour game, and just keep it moving.
Well, I'm just fascinated by the trends, and I try not to look under the hood. For instance, last year, all the home teams won in week 1 in the CFL, and last night the road team won. I want to ask you about your league. Home field advantage, is it a thing? Because the stats in all the leagues will show you, the records will show you, home field is not as big a thing as it used to be.
I think certain places it is. Like, obviously, we have a great home field advantage, but just because we have a great crowd. Like, teams like Arizona, us, Fishers, Tulsa, Jacksonville, Green Bay, where we sell out almost every game, it's a huge advantage. You go on the road where, you don't have as good a following because they haven't done, either it's a new team or they haven't done a great job with it, or the team's not winning. We don't really worry about it.
Just a couple quick ones before we let you go. We got like 3 minutes from the NFL. Do you believe Aaron Donald's coming out of retirement?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, my God. Why?
You just look at everything he always said. He wanted to retire after 8 years. It was fine. The Super Bowl is at SoFi this year. He wanted to play with a Hall of Fame pass rusher. That was his one thing his whole career. And now they have a bunch of young guys, but you had Myles Garrett, and now he's probably looking at it like, oh, there's no way you can double me now. You got Myles Garrett, somebody else, me, another young pass rusher. This might be fun.
So this is not Vince Young coming back.
No, I don't believe so. I think that he's the guy stays in shape. He's a specimen. I think that what I think happens is he'll kick it up a notch or 2 notches to see how his body reacts. And then he'll play it out for a month and figure it out. Right. But I think for the next 30 days, he's really gonna kick up his training to see what his body does and how his body feels. I don't know, what is he, 33?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I mean, he's young still. So I mean, that's
yeah, he's not that old.
About it.
Absolutely. Hey, one of these days, I'll bring you on and we'll bring up some of those old stories like Vince Young because you were around then.
Oh,
that's when we met. Right. We don't have time here. We got 20. Maybe I'll tell some of these once we go off the air here. But yeah, Coach, thanks for this. Loved it. Great football chat. Good luck this weekend. As you see, we're following closely.
Thanks, Rod. Appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
The 8-1 Vegas Nighthawks, their head coach and general manager Mike Davis joining us from Sin City. They're at Northern Arizona this weekend. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way. It's the RP Show, brought to you by the CFL PA today, Silver State Sports.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world! Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. The RP Show continues live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Host your next business staff event at the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Experience a unique and dynamic environment perfect for team building, meetings, and corporate fun. Visit GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com to book your event today. Vancouver Eric writes in, he says, looking forward to Vince Young stories. Well, you don't got to wait till the next time Mike Davis is on for those. We signed Mike Davis, when I was with the Rough Riders. I want to say, and I don't know why the date is jumping out to me, but I want to say, somebody will look this up and prove me wrong, but March 17th, 2017, it was something around there. And we had the news conference. It might have even been earlier that because it was snow on the ground. I'm there covering the news conference in our brand new, beautiful stadium, and the door flies open for the news conference, and it is a flippin' parade. This was my first real introduction to the NFL circus, and it was Vince Young. It was Vince Young's, I'm just going to say baby mama. His kid, his manager, his agent, Lee Steinberg, which was my first brush with Lee Steinberg, the inspiration for Jerry Maguire, which we've become great friends since because we're both recovery warriors. And it was great. They all posed for photos, and yeah, Lee Steinberg. Lee Steinberg was as big a deal as Vince Young. Lee Steinberg signing autographs. Show me the money, Lee Steinberg. That was all great. And then we had an OTA in Florida, in Vero Beach, Florida, so this was the first time I'm covering Vince Young, and some Eagles fans showed up just to boo him. I'm like, oh, this is a big deal. This is Florida, where football. This is the U.S., where football is king. And then I'm watching him on the field, and at that time, I want to say 6'5", probably 350. I've been around big men before. Dan Payne comes to mind, BC Lions, Saskatchewan Roughriders, CFL, up 6'8", Miles Garrell. But in terms of sheer thickness, John Candy doesn't count. I'm talking actual athletes. Vince Young was the thickest man. I swatted him on the back. I don't know why. And it was like hitting a Coke machine. Let's imagine that. And then seeing him out on the field, doing a 5-step drop. He dropped like a butterfly. And then just flick of a wrist, 60 yards down the field. Oh, that's why he was a 2-time Pro Bowler. This guy's a big deal. That was in April. And then we get into training camp in June, and he never dropped that weight. And it's kind of a funny story because this is where I really started to get into trouble with the Rough Riders, because Vince Young was going to be our starting quarterback in our inter-squad green and white game. And I said to our PR staff, it was a different time then, really, like social media and streaming was just coming in. And I said, let's stream the inter-squad game. We packed SMF Field, packed it. There was thousands of people there to watch Vince Young start the inter-squad game. And I said, listen, I'm always prepared. Carry a tripod with me. I'm in the press box, ready to go. Let's stream the inter-squad. They're like, no. Why not? No. Come on. We'll get thousands of people watching Vince Young quarterback the inter-squad. No. And then they sent the PR guy, stood right beside me in the press box to make sure that I didn't live stream it, because they knew me. They knew that I would have put it on my own feed. And then we get into the inter-squad, and Vince Young on the first play rolls out to his right, pop, down in a heap, pops his hamstring, end of story. And I will say, Sports Illustrated sent a reporter up to cover this whole thing. No. It was a big deal. It wasn't just me. And for whatever reason, the Riders didn't want to live stream it. And by the end, we just didn't agree on anything. And in the end of the day, it's their team. They can do whatever they want. Vince Young never did take a snap in the preseason, let alone regular season, for the Rough Riders, and that was the end of his comeback. And I will say, all I'll say about the guy, because he was really, really, really nice to me. I'm not sure he's the most mature guy in the world, which, by the way, neither was I at that time, clearly. But they were having an autograph session, and he didn't want to participate in that. And you can see how far that went with me. That's all that I'll say. Vancouver Eric says, a 350-pound quarterback? That's a nose tackle today. It wasn't a good 350 pounds. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe 325, but big. Maybe he dropped a little of that by the time he came to training camp, but not much. Okay, overtime's next. We'll be right back here on Silver State Sports.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back. As you know, the commercials are just a pause in our discussion. It's overtime for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. If you follow their social media, which you do, right? Overtime HL on Instagram and Facebook, Overtime Hockey Lanes on Facebook. Randy, the owner's outside in a torrential monsoon outside the doors of Overtime Hockey Lanes going, the weather's for the Ducks. Come inside and shoot some pucks at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. I'm like, oh, I would love to. 28th Street, Northeast Calgary, an amusement park for hockey players. Some really cool things going on this summer to keep the kids happy. Calgary, say you're a hockey town. Prove it. Get on to Overtime Hockey Lanes. So back to the pause of our stories. Yeah, I mean, I got 1 million. I guess probably should put it in a book, but then why would you watch this show? With Vince Young trying out for our football team. Were you watching Mike Davis's face when I said, next time we bring you on, we'll ask you about Vince Young? He's like, hey. David number 2 from Winnipeg writes in and says, when Vince Young came back, it was like he ate a trailer load of donuts to prepare. Yeah. 902-518-3033 is the text line. Yeah. We get it, Jeff the Stamp. We get it. Calgary's playing tonight. We get it. CFL Plus for the U.S. viewers. TSN in Canada. Week 1 of the CFL continues Friday night. Winnipeg at Calgary. Sports update. Texas beat Texas Tech 4-1 on Thursday to complete the sweep and win its second straight softball national championship. It's the same result as last year, with the mighty Longhorns once again besting the Red Raiders' multi-million-dollar roster full of superstar transfers. Let's be honest, unless it's football, nobody really cares. But I was saying earlier, you know how you meet somebody and they just immediately become close friends? And Mike Davis and I were like that, and I told you, Kenny Nagunst is watching down there in Amarillo, Texas on 806 Sports. What made me think of it is they're just a stone's throw really from Texas Tech. Not that far from Lubbock. And Kenny wrote, he goes, when I met you, we were instant buddies. Yes, we were, Kenny. This guy, Kenny Nagunst, I've been holding off bringing Kenny on because it's not really the football time of the year, and that's his thing, even though hockey, he says, is his number one sport. But the man's been on this show before. I'm not sure if he's been on since we've been on Silver State Sports, although he wasn't on that long ago. The inspiration for Patrick Swayze's character in the movie Roadhouse. It is a true story that we don't have time for here, but I'll get him to relate it when he comes on next time. Kenny Nagunst, 806 Sports Texas, was a bouncer in that country bar in Amarillo, Texas. Yeah. Roadhouse. Watch it this weekend and think of Kenny Nagunst, my good friend. Back to the sports. In a brutal blow for the New York Yankees, Aaron Judge will be out for the foreseeable future after being diagnosed with a stress fracture in his rib. The three-time MVP will be re-examined in 4 to 6 weeks and is expected to return at some point this season. Blue Jays home tonight to the Baltimore Orioles, and the A's are on the road to Houston. The Women's French Open final is appropriately historic for this roller coaster of a Grand Slam with 19-year-old Mira Andreeva, the first person born after 2004 to reach a major final, set to face 114th ranked Maya Chabalenska, the second qualifier ever to reach a major final. I feel like it could be a real fun segment. Rod trying to read tennis players' names. President Donald J. Trump confirmed that he will attend at least one of next week's games at Madison Square Garden, which will make him the first sitting U.S. president to attend the NBA Finals. Lynx guard Olivia Miles set a WNBA rookie record with 8 3-pointers made in Thursday's win over the Valkyries. The Rookie of the Year frontrunner put up a 28-4-7 line to lead first-place Minnesota to its 6th straight win. That is your sports update brought to you by our dear friends at Ultimate Fan Zone. Are you looking for the hottest fan gear? Swing by Ultimate Fans Sports Store or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca where real fans get their gear. I've said it a few times on this fine program that when I walked into Ultimate Fan Zone, I was looking for some Vegas Golden Knights gear. Very first thing I saw was the hoodie on the rack, my size, extra large. It was just, God. It was a God shot. It was meant for you, Rod. And the problem was the Golden Knights lost for the first time since I've been wearing that thing last night, which I have it here in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. The Golden Knights stormed back to win. On Thursday, it was Carolina's turn to stage a series-shifting comeback. The Canes trailed 2-0 in the third period before scoring 3 goals in 5 minutes to revitalize the home crowd. A tip from Vegas's Mark Stone in the final seconds sent the game to overtime, where Seth Jarvis found the back of the net on the power play to play the hero and even the series 1-1 heading back to the Fortress Saturday night. Well, know what I'll be doing Saturday night. Catching the Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. By the way, the Canes' third goal in regulation came on a power play in the final 5 minutes after a challenge from Vegas head coach John Tortorella led to a delay of game penalty. The challenge was on a controversial no-goal call, with referees ruling that goaltender interference was enough to erase the goal. You got to love Mike Davis, who's in that Vegas sports scene. He was on with us earlier, and I said, what did you think of that? Don't leave it in the ref's hands. It's so easy to say, incredibly hard to do. But if Vegas is going to win this series in 6, which I said they would, they're going to have to lose 2 along the way, so maybe that's what happened Thursday night. So NBA Finals tonight, Game 3, excited to watch that. Sorry, Game 2, before it switches to New York. We got CFL football on the tube. In my wonderful Western Canadian Baseball League, of which I'm broadcasting tonight, my Millers are on the road. Games in Medicine Hat, Swift Current, Weyburn, Okotoks, Sylvan Lake, and Lethbridge tonight. So if you're anywhere near those communities and ballparks, get out and buy a ticket and support our league. And that's it. Try to stay off social media, or at least the crazy stuff this weekend. Have a safe weekend, and we'll see you Monday right back here on the RP Show.
That.